3 minutes after 7, this is a meeting of the Town of Norton Zoning Board of Appeals. We have a number of things on the agenda tonight. Thanks. I'm Tom Noel. We have Mr. Jim Tenore, Dave Wren, Lucas Wozniak. Mr. Wozniak will sit on the tipping place matter, and I think that's it. I think that was all for tonight. Otherwise, it'll be Mr. Tenore and myself and Mr. Wren. First item on the agenda, and this is a meeting that's being held at the Norton Media Center and being connected to the internet for those who want to participate remotely, as our notice and agenda stated. If you're participating remotely, you might want to wave your hand if you want to say something, or speak up, or phone in. Those connections were all provided on the agenda. First item is a public hearing for property address 269 West Main Street. The applicant is a Carlos Silva, the owner Wayne LeBlanc, trustee. Is somebody here to present that application? And if you could just, you could wheel that out front just so you can talk to us a little easier.
Hello, everyone.
That's pretty good. It's like a space chair.
Hi, everyone. My name's Carlos Silva.
Okay.
I'm looking to switch 269 West Main Street from a mixed-use commercial property into a duplex.
And you're not the owner?
No.
I'm the
proposed buyer.
proposed buyer. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yep. It currently has a hair salon and 1 unit and a 2-bedroom apartment in the other. I've already been granted a special permit. Today I'm just looking for a variance to allow me to have a duplex on the lot that is currently there, the existing lot.
And the planning board, you've already been before?
Yes,
And
I've already been granted that.
when, that was this spring, or?
That was in July.
Just July?
Yeah.
Okay. And Paul, planning board, you confirm, issued a decision that we can
Yes.
go under?
They issued a special permit for the duplex.
Okay. So I assume they took care of conditions like number of units and things of that sort? So
Yes.
we don't have to get into that, because that was my question, what do we do with this? But according to the plan, it looks like, sorry, masks are not convenient to talk through. There's a note here, signed by the LeBlancs, who are the current owners, right? Grant permission to Mr. Silva to submit application for special permit with a variance to the Town of Norton in order to switch 269 West Main Street from mixed-use commercial to a 2-family. I take it this is a village commercial
Yes.
district?
No, it is not.
I think it would have to be.
No, I think this, my apologies, I'm a little behind, but this is not in village commercial.
It's not permitted in,
Duplexes are in residential zoning. This is in R40. So the current use, there was a salon there.
Correct.
yeah.
That was a non-conforming use. But according to our bylaw, the request to do a duplex is allowed by special permit in R40.
This is R40.
Yes.
Hold on. And I hope this is what I printed out, but didn't. Oh, here it is. Special permit. Got it.
Yep.
I was looking at commercial, I guess. Commercial is no. Not allowed to do a duplex. But yep, special permit, and that's, I assume the planning board would have seen that. and
Yes.
looked at that.
And this was date stamped
Yep.
by the clerk on August 6th, so
Mhm.
they're still within that 20-day for the special permit, the 20-day appeal, but
Understood.
haven't heard anything, so.
Right. Okay, so the planning board has taken action. From what we are submitted here, I'm not sure that it has the dimensions that we need to see. It has some dimensions. Looks like it has, and the light's terrible here. How much frontage is that?
74 and a half or something.
Thank you, 74. Village commercial frontage is supposed to be 120 feet. I'm sorry, it's not village commercial frontage, though.
No.
154.
150.
R40.
Yep, because we're back to 40. My numbers are wrong. front yard setback is 40 feet. Does this show what the front yard setback is?
28.3.
Okay.
This is, Mr. Chairman, this is a pre-existing non-conforming lot.
Yep.
The building is existing, so there's not much he's gonna do with the setbacks, but he does provide, I don't think any of the setbacks that are required in the zoning district are met with the existing building that's on the property.
Side yard is 25. What's not here is, well, a couple of things. On the right, it is, looks like, is that 27 feet?
27
I
feet.
literally can't see here. That's not good.
How's that?
That's
Chair, do you want,
No,
would you like to look at mine? I can zoom
Look
in
real
more
close
too.
and take off my glasses, I guess. On the left, it's 19.2 feet. Is that to the edge of what is a ramp? Or is that to the edge of the,
Building, it looks like. The building.
okay, but there's a ramp that comes out. Is that correct? That's a structure that's,
It's a wood ramp.
yeah. And in fact, the front distance isn't shown on here, so don't we need to see those?
The front distance from the street.
Nope, the front distance from the front right corner of the ramp to the left property line. That looks like the closest point. What we have to do is, if we grant a variance, we put in specifics as to how close it is from the property line now, or how close it can come. The ramp is considered part of a structure, so we're going to need to see engineered what the closest point is. It looks like the front is closer than the rear. I'm just eyeballing that.
Yeah.
It certainly looks
I
at,
see what you're saying.
the rear is 19.2 feet, so the front is closer. And on the right, that's also not to the edge of the deck structure. It's to it looks like it's to the corner of the house. Do you disagree? We need a deck and a ramp. That's a handicap ramp, I assume, right?
Because of the salon.
Yeah, they needed that because of the salon, because of commercial property needs salon, but I honestly don't plan on keeping the deck, but
It's gonna be a two.
I'm gonna keep it as a two-family, I'm just gonna have a front step into the building.
Okay. Then I guess the closest point on the left is shown that at 19.2, if we go with that. And on the right would be 27 feet from the side yard property line. Is the deck going to stay?
No, I wasn't gonna keep the deck either, I was just gonna make a staircase into the building.
Well, doesn't it have to be on the plan?
I thought they wanted to show kind of what was on the existing.
Well,
building.
what we asked for on the application is a plan showing the proposed distances from every setback, for every setback on every side. So if we say, the applicant is granted a variance, but it's only to 27 feet as shown on the plan, that means you can't have something beyond that without coming back to the building inspector and to the board. That's what I'm getting at. So. if you're-
Was it for the special permit, would there been a plot plan put together to?
It was the same
This is the
plan.
same thing.
Oh,
But we deal with the setbacks, so what I'm
Yeah.
saying is, I don't know that there's any problem with a variance, but we need to know the dimensions for the variance, so it's not floating out there, for
well, that's
that.
what I was thinking. There might be another drawing that shows the new structure as proposed.
Oh, I see. Is there any different engineering?
I'm not gonna change the actual structure itself, I'm just.
Right. Is there any different drawing, though, engineer drawing
This
showing?
is the drawing that I have now.
Okay. I think you've got to consider then what you're going to do outside the footprint of the house. In other words, steps, deck or no deck. And I'm not sure it matters in this case, but we have to see the footage, the dimensions of what you're planning to put in there, and it has to be drawn on a plan, because the plan gets filed with the decision. Do you have questions or any comments on what I'm saying? Anybody?
No, and I think, you know, if we grant the variance tonight based on this, then you decide to put something on the side of the house or stairs or anything, you're gonna run into a problem, so.
But we can't, I mean.
No, that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. He's gonna end up coming back if he does anything different then.
We could with these dimensions, I guess, but then he'd have to tear off the deck and the ramp to, and he couldn't put any stair in.
Right.
Or porch or new deck.
Right, that's what I'm saying, so.
Without
you know,
going back through
without
the
going back,
process again,
right.
and that doesn't get him anywhere. So isn't the best thing to do to say,
Sorry,
Yes.
if someone's saying they're not hearing us, can we ask people if,
can we ask, who is in attendance by video link? Could you,
Oh, we're on mute, guys. Look at our,
We're-
there in the middle.
we are,
Oh,
sorry,
sorry.
where do you see the mute?
Down on the bottom.
Oh, at the bottom of our screen.
There we go.
Sorry.
I didn't notice that.
Can we be heard now? Well, I'm not
Well,
sure
now
who
we
it
can
was
say
that
it.
was saying it,
I
but
don't know.
let me ask a question. Was there anybody in attendance by video link for the application for 269 West Main Street? Could you make yourself known?
Oh, someone saying they can't hear it now.
Cannot hear it?
Can.
Can hear it now. Are they here for the 269 West Main Street application? Can you text and ask them that?
Well, if they're hearing it, they should be able to reply.
I don't know. They might be on, they're not on the phone. I see. You would see the phone up there too?
Right.
Okay. So what I'm asking is if the person or persons, apparently our audio was not on, is the person who said they couldn't hear us here for the 269 West Main Street application? There's a woman who appeared on the side screen. I don't know who that is.
That's the select board meeting.
Okay. All right, hearing none.
Yeah,
Hello, is that Mr. Banks?
Yeah. This is Steve Banks. I'm not here for the hearing that you mentioned.
Thank you.
But I did text to say that I couldn't hear.
Okay, thank you. We just wanted to know if you were shut out of this hearing. We'd have to start it again. But you were not shut out, and I'll assume that nobody else attending by remote means was not shut out at this particular hearing, 269 West Main Street, unless you speak up and tell us so. So I think we need to ask the applicant to get a drawing that shows exactly what he wants to do with the dimensions to each of the corners of the construction, and a deck
It's
or
just a-
ramp is considered part of the structure, so we need to see that. Here, we would need to see the dimension to the ramp if he wanted to keep the ramp. Do you agree?
yes.
And the porch, and whatever is around the house. If he wants to keep it, that's fine, but we need to see those distances here because we need to incorporate them in the decision and the drawing. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm just.
That's all right.
To have the stairs in place, so what you're saying is you want the dimensions to the ramp from the neighbors? Because I was just gonna have stairs going right in to the.
No, we just want you to bring back a drawing reflecting what you're planning on doing. So if you're planning on putting on like a, let's say a farmer's porch with steps, the drawing in front of us presented should have the farmer's porch and steps.
Right.
We're looking at an existing drawing where you're telling us that you're gonna take the ramp off, possibly the deck off, and add stairs, but that's not what we have in front of us.
Oh, okay, I thought the problem was just that we didn't have the dimensions to the current existing ramp.
That's a problem if you said you're gonna keep the ramp. You can keep the ramp, and then you have to provide that measurement. So either way. or
So any fixed structure,
Yeah.
basically.
Any fixed structure, including a ramp or deck or stairs or porch that's fixed onto the structure itself.
Can I ask a question?
So,
Can my mother ask a question?
I'm sorry, yes, of
Sorry,
course.
can-
Could you identify yourself?
My name is Patricia Silva, I'm Carlos's mom.
Yes.
So I just had a question, because currently that's the way the lot is, and we were, we thought because it was existing, they told us to get a plot plan based on what it is to show the dimensions. And then down the road, when Carlos decides, because this is something down the road, he would decide to put the steps and do that, but I think we would have to then go forward with another permit once the house is hit. So we wanted to do it as existing, if it was possible.
Okay, if you want to do it as existing, then we need the engineer to measure and put the dimensions to the structures, meaning the side of the ramp, wherever the ramp encroaches on the side yard setback, the front, wherever the ramp measures to the front property line, or on the right-hand side, the edge of the deck, whatever's there, has to be measured and stamped on the engineer's plan.
So none of that was there, because that's pretty much
It
what.
shows
yeah.
the side of the building.
We had told them that's what
But
we needed, and I
thought
brought it
was
into the
We
town.
thought it was the existing building
Yeah.
and not the existing
Yeah.
ramps or the existing decks. That's what
Okay.
we thought it was. That's what
Mhm,
we.
that's
Understood.
what
We were,
so-
at least, that's what I was.
Yep, understood. But that's what we need to see. So if you want to keep this and then come back later after he gets into the building and wants to do something, then I guess it's a two-step process if it further encroaches. But to keep this, we at least then need the plan, engineered plan with the dimensions to the structure. Not the footprint of the house, but the structure that's there. And the structure is defined in the bylaws as permanent fixture, something like that, affixed to the ground.
So just a question.
Yep.
So a permanent fixture, a deck is a permanent fixture then, and a ramp is also a permanent fixture?
Yes,
that-
Mr. Iafredi, the building
Part of-
inspector,
Part of
can,
this, yeah, part of the structure.
and he can help you with that too. If you think it's not a permanent thing, if it's a temporary ramp, you could say that, but it doesn't look like it if it's I think I know the property and the ramp. I can envision what you're referring to.
It's
We're
the
not-
right drawing, it's just, it's the wrong dimensions for us.
Yeah.
But the drawing is what we need, it's just, the dimensions aren't structured to the appropriate structure. You guys did the building, but you didn't do the decks or the steps or the ramp. So, you just need to go get that engineered and come back, basically.
The engineer a surveyor has to measure it and put his stamp on it and date it and, get it back to us. And then we can consider the present structure, or if you're saying you're gonna take off the ramp, you wanna take off the ramp, then this is fine, but you have to show us where you're gonna put stairs and porches or anything else.
So just a question, when I have it like this, when I put the stairs in, then I would have to get another special permit, is what you're saying, or?
No,
Just, if I do put the stairs in, you want to see the stairs on the
yeah.
permit?
They want to see a new blueprint or a new print, that's what I'm
Of
understanding.
either as it's existing with the numbers, the numbers to the existing structure, or what you want to do, drawn in with those numbers. And Mr. Iafredi can certainly help out. I'm sure the lighthouse land surveyors know what we're
Yeah.
referring
Yeah,
to.
He did,
They
and
might
that's what
have-
he said we
Yeah.
needed.
Well,
That's what
but
I thought we needed.
Yeah.
maybe that's what the planning board,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But what we need as a zoning board, because you're asking for dimensional variances, we need the dimensions, because it's in the decision.
so,
We can't just guess at the numbers.
mhm.
So, with the correct dimensions, then do you see any other problems?
We opened it up to discussion. I don't have a problem with what you're trying to do. The planning board already gave permission for the conversion to duplex, so, we'd have to discuss it. And, what I'd suggest is, if you think you can get it done before the next meeting, you can just continue this till the next meeting, and you can submit the new,
When is the next meeting?
when is the next meeting?
You
You
have
see
to
how I
set it.
pass
We
along
have to
that
schedule
question?
it. You have to set it. Set it.
We haven't? I thought we did, in September.
Oh,
No.
because
Nope.
also with Carlos trying to purchase the house, that's why they were trying, but obviously it can't be done. But that's why they were trying to see how to get this, to get him to
Yep,
go on
well,
with
I
the
think the
closing.
big part you did.
Yeah.
I mean, that allows you to convert to duplex. We're telling you, we don't have a
Yeah.
problem with that.
Because they won't allow him to go forward until he gets
Yeah,
the
get all this stuff.
paperwork done.
We don't have any
Could have
clarity on
sworn.
this.
God, yep. Every time I think we have a meeting. Okay, so what are we looking at? 1, 2, 3. The 15th of September.
Yeah, but I have the 15th down.
You do have the 15th?
So do I.
Okay.
You do?
Yep.
Well, we might have mentioned it verbally, orally, and just didn't, we didn't record it or something. 15th, though, is fine with us still, yes?
Yep.
Okay. So it would be, I guess it's 4 weeks from tonight. If you need more than that, you just call Paul and say, continue it again to October, but, if you can get it done, I'm sure they can get this, I assume they can get this done for you and get you a new plan, before the meeting.
So, yeah, just with the dimensions of the existing ramp, the existing deck.
Yeah.
Yep, but you could talk to Mr. Iafrate if you have any questions with the engineer. I think they can talk the same language, the engineer and Nick's an engineer, so
But if you're planning on doing the stairs now, when you convert it to a duplex,
you might want it, right.
you do what you're going to do. Don't just come here for your approval with the ramp and everything, and then you go get your building permit, and then you end up doing the stairs, and then you have other issues.
Because you're gonna have to come back again if you're changing this. That's the way, because it's a non-conforming property.
So every time I change a staircase or anything.
Well, the rules aren't quite,
Ultimately, it's, with this particular case, it's gonna be with the setback. So when you come back, like they're saying, with a new plan that shows, if you leave it the way it is and you provide the setback to the ramp, and then in whatever time frame it may be, let's say a year, you say I'm gonna change the stairs. If the stairs protrude out into that setback more than what the ramp did, then you're gonna have to come back for
that's,
another.
As long as I keep it the same.
hearing. The same or
I know,
less.
you have to go to the building
Right.
inspector for
The
that.
same
So
or
your
less.
best bet would be, even if you don't do it right now, overlay a proposed staircase for the front, and then if the staircase is gonna be on the right side in the back corner, propose that on it, so the setbacks can be set for those staircases, as opposed to setting it for the ramps and then having to come back, because you're
And then we can say,
bigger than what's existing.
if you do that, then we say in the decision, applicant states he is going to remove the existing ramps, therefore the setbacks will be right, left, front,
Yeah.
with what you want to do. That's the way we would do it. We just need the measurements. And Nick can help out in communicating so that they get it right, but I'm sure, they know what you're looking for if you ask them in that way. Okay, so are you okay coming back in 1 month?
Yeah, I guess if that's
Well-
I mean, can I have
It can't be
can I have
sooner, right?
something
He
say?
couldn't go to the
Could I
town,
have
right?
something saying like a I don't know, something you guys say?
No.
We
this
can't do
is
that.
Based on this condition or something?
No, I don't know what your sale papers say, but I mean, it's the planning board thing that is the big concern here, I would think, if the planning board decision may be good enough for whatever papers you have.
Well, it won't turn into a duplex unless you guys approve. It won't be completely approved.
Okay,
Yeah,
But-
they said the mortgage company actually talked to us today,
Yeah.
they said they needed it needs to be no longer with that commercial name, it needs to be called a duplex,
okay,
so.
Okay.
well.
Doesn't the special permit do that special?
I assume, but I don't know. You may want to just,
But how am I gonna have a duplex if the lot doesn't allow me to have a duplex? I don't think the bank will.
I don't know, that's,
You're
Gonna have to work that out with the bank.
Yeah.
Explain it to you, it's.
okay, so is there a motion, are there other questions on the application right now? 4 parking spaces, that's not impermissible, is it? I mean, this is a duplex, right? It may even be required for,
There's also a lot of parking in the back, there's the garage.
oh, is that what's there now? Yeah, okay,
All
right.
this area is all parking.
Got it, so that's not an issue anyway. So is there a motion, if there are no other questions tonight, motion to continue to the meeting of September 15th, we might as well say 7 PM, first thing on the agenda?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to continue this public meeting of 269 West Main Street to September 15th at 7 PM.
I'll second.
No further discussion, all those in favor, Mr. Wren,
Yes.
Mr. Tenori?
Yes.
And Mr. Noel votes yes as well. Okay, so see what you can do, come back and get the plan to Paul before if you can, but don't hesitate to call Nick Iafrate, if you have questions about what it is exactly we need to see. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We just gave Nick more work here, so.
It's all right.
Okay, thank you,
Good luck, thank you. See you in 4 weeks.
bye.
Next on the agenda is Zero Tipping Place, which was continued from our last meeting. Mr. Clark, I see you are here. We didn't hear from you, so do you have,
I do have plans
okay,
today.
come on forward.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Is a continuation from the last hearing. The board asked me to get a drawing done, a measured drawing done showing the driveway
Yeah.
with the turnaround. We've
Mu-
also.
Much like the last one, we wanted to see the actual, what's going there. so-
Exactly.
Go ahead.
We have now, as I had mentioned to the board at the last hearing, we have shown this a 35-foot no-cut buffer with the abutter to the I guess northeast.
The abut, yeah, we know, I think, what you're referring to, so it's actually on the plan.
It's actually,
Great.
we actually, so my intent, Mr. Chairman, is that if the variance is approved during the appeal period, we would actually produce have a Mylar plan done that could then be recorded with the variance. Now, that will be the only way to do to show the no cut on the plan. So the plan would actually ultimately get recorded at the registry of deeds along with the variance.
Yeah, we need a small image for the, that we can print out. What do you mean it has to be Mylar?
Mylar plan, are you
Yeah,
talking
it
about a
would-
Form A or?
No, it's
Okay.
just, it would be this same exact plan, Paul.
Yeah.
It has the signature lines for the board, but it would just be printed on the film, on the Mylar film, and would get actually recorded at the registry. And the plan, the plan runs the registry.
Why do we need that as opposed to an 8.5 by 11 of that?
Only to scale, because it would, to showing the no cut buffer. The engineer
Okay.
drew it this way, Mr. Chairman, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And that gets just attached, that's just part of the decision?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just need an 8.5 by 11, or a PDF. Can you get us a PDF that we attach to the decision? The image from the file.
I think so.
Yeah.
It would just be a scan.
Yeah.
Oh, you scan those yourself?
We can scan them, yeah.
Okay, I think so.
Yeah, we would want to scan with your signatures on it.
I thought, why do our signatures get on this one? I don't get
Well,
that.
that's a good question.
I mean, they don't need to be.
Okay, I thought they did because of the no cut, because of the buffer that we're imposing. This,
I don't know.
I can have it shrunk down and.
Yeah, I would just say we get a PDF and then
Yeah.
reference the drawing.
I'm
That's
sure
what-
the
that's fine.
engineer has an
Yeah.
image that they can just email you,
Yeah.
and email Paul.
They actually emailed it to me today. I just got this printed at Allegra this afternoon.
See, you should have printed it up real small. Save some of those trees from the no-cut zone, right? What's that?
Multiple copies?
Yeah, this, yeah.
Okay, well, can we take a look? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
It's not gonna be room,
Yeah, we just need
No.
one, right? I mean,
I printed 7 because I didn't know how many.
There you go, buddy.
one for the file.
Yeah.
We can just- and this one others, yeah.
I should look at
And I could just look at.
Paul, I can give you whatever you want. I've got the PDF.
Oh, that would be
I
great.
know, but
Yeah,
you can
PDF.
Yeah, so the engineer emailed me the PDF, and I was the one that had to print it on paper, so.
Okay.
So the
So just
PDF
email that to me.
Because when we do a decision, I just print up the PDF in my office on a regular sized sheet of paper. It is what it is, as long as we can represent that that's it. That's what we can send
So
back to you.
can I just?
Of course, yeah, ask questions, go ahead.
So the location of the house moved on this plan as well?
So it did, and what I was trying to do, is to be fair to the abutters on both sides.
Yep.
And so you'll see that on the, closest to 14 Tipping Place, it's, 89.6 feet. To the property here, it's 90, it's like basically split the difference.
So it was
It
closer to
It was
14.
further set back too.
It was up here.
Right.
It was up higher, and what the concern was is the privacy for 14's backyard.
Right.
And so by pulling it down and creating it's all about, we're trying to be a good neighbor here and create, privacy and buffer.
And the person who was here last meeting, I think, spoke about that. By the way, this is, Mr. Wozniak is on this hearing. Mr. Wren is recused.
Can I just ask, what do you consider the front of the house because of the angle? Where's like the door to the house?
You'll see can I?
Yeah.
Yes. So the front door would actually be,
Okay. So it's facing the neighbor.
I guess this is.
yeah, so it would be around, so it'd just be like a walk.
Okay.
So around the garage.
Yeah.
Just
Want to make sure show up.
Does that make
sure
sense?
will.
Yeah, just asking.
Yeah. So again, I was just, I was also looking as to where the correct tests were. You'll see the test bits, are on here now. So we're, for the septic system.
Okay.
So again, I was just trying to be fair to everybody.
Okay, thank you for presenting the new plan that we asked for. Are there other questions, Jim or Lucas?
No.
This kind of eliminates the need for what we were concerned about too with the turn
But
radius.
we still do have a back,
Yeah,
a back out, area. So the driveway itself is right about 80 feet.
Yep, which is
That's common.
not standard size, right?
Yeah.
So
The orientation of the house to the circle / driveway is a little funny, because
So-
last time it was facing towards the driveway, towards the circle entrance, and now it's, the front entrance is like facing towards the back.
So just so you also understand, the reasoning behind that, so the family that's interested in purchasing, it's a ranch, it's a one-story, house, and they want it oriented for, south rear. And so you'll see that the back of the house is almost perfectly due south for solar purposes. So that was the the positioning as well.
So I don't have the application itself. I printed, because I printed it out so many times before, and I didn't bring that with me. Do we have the application itself? I'm forgetting what exactly they're looking for.
Variance to 40 feet for frontage.
That was the one
That's the one.
element?
You need to connect to a Wi-Fi network first.
Actually,
it was
that's
a
okay,
variance.
Paul.
That's the only relief sought.
So
No.
the frontage here is a big reduction in frontage to 40 feet, which concerned us over several times in the last few years. But here it's specific to this, as shown on this plan, this specific plan, at the apex of a cul-de-sac. And the applicant's done what we asked him to do last time. It's an odd arrangement, but I think in this case, given the history, I'm not uncomfortable with it. I mean, I'm not liking to, reduce frontage to that amount for many applications, but this one is very specific.
And as I had pointed out, as I said, we're trying to be good neighbors here. We're creating this buffer, for no cut, which makes it a positive for the butters.
Also, the size of the lot is considerable.
Just shy of 3 acres.
Yeah, for one resident. Could I ask you to take your seat for 1 second, because I'm going to actually ask, as Mr. DiGiuseppe points out, the revised plan was just submitted now. The public has not had an opportunity to look at this. Is there someone in attendance remotely that would like to comment on this application for Zero Tipping Place? Comment or ask questions or see the plan that was submitted? Could you make yourself known by clicking your camera on or speaking up? For the record, I don't see anybody speaking up, attending remotely. We don't have any indication of anybody on the phone lines, correct?
Correct.
Okay, or any other way. There's Earl's iPad, there's John, and there's Mr. Banks, and there's Mr. DiGiuseppe, who's sitting right here, so I guess we've covered the bases. Are there any other questions for the applicant? And let me ask if there's anybody in attendance here in the room at the meeting itself that wishes to speak in favor of or in opposition to this application with the new plans. For the record, none. Is there a motion then, as long as Mr. Clark is accurate, the relief sought is a variance to reduce the frontage for this particular lot as shown on the plan of record, which is the plan submitted tonight, to 40 feet. No less than 40 feet as shown on the plan of record. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Any further discussion on this? I think we've covered the bases for variance. This is a special condition owing to this particular parcel not affecting other parcels in the area, except as we've discussed and we're inclined to overlook tonight. I don't think it presents a problem. If there's no further discussion, Mr. Wozniak, how do you vote?
Yes.
To approve the variance. Mr. Tenore?
Yes.
Mr. Noel votes yes as well. Okay, thank you, Mr. Clark. Could you get us that PDF tomorrow so we can have it?
I'll email it. Paul.
Yeah, that'd be great, because that, we actually will attach that to the decision, and that's what we ask you to file.
And Paul, the PDF is 2x3, so can you shrink that down?
PDF can be
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
any size.
If there's an issue, I've got a paper copy, so just send me what you have.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
you can make the PDF that size or size of a piece of
I'm sorry,
paper.
I don't know. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for coming back to us the several times this year that you did as well. But I think you alleviated our concerns and our questions. So thank you, Mr. Clark. Good luck.
Have a good evening.
All set for the next item? Next item on our crowded agenda is 34 Elm Street. The applicant is Mr. Levine.
Present.
Oh, you were present, I'm sorry. I thought you were on the video. That's another application. The owner is Fareed Mohammed.
Yes, present.
Yes, good evening again. How are you? This was a matter the board will remember was before us a couple years ago, and we rendered a decision that's in our file that was in the Dropbox file for us to look at. About 2 years ago, I wanted to look at the exact date. And
We heard it, part of it on
September.
Yeah,
It was over a few meetings.
started in June, September.
Yep. The decision itself wasn't until September or October, I believe. And we'll get to that in a moment, because the statute says we can't issue relief on an application that was turned down within 2 years. Doesn't mean we can't issue relief here if we're going to do that, but we have to address that coming up. But if I can ask the applicant on that denial took it to Superior Court, correct? Appealed our decision?
Yes.
And what has come of that case?
It wasn't heard, right? It wasn't heard. Yeah, that was, with the COVID, they shut down the courts.
Well,
It
is the
wasn't
case
heard.
still pending?
Heard. Well, no, this is a different building. The size of the building went from 35 feet to 17 feet.
Yeah, is that case still pending though in the Superior Court?
I believe the attorney has talked to Amy Guzwell. It's October 5th. I believe it is.
A date is October 5th, the
I
date
think so, yeah.
for something
But
to
what he'd
occur?
like to do is if he would get approval on this building, he would withdraw the case.
Understood. So I didn't get a chance to ask counsel what the status is, and I didn't look it up. We can look it up online ourselves. But there's a pending appeal of our earlier decision in the Superior Court. Then let me ask the applicant, but that's based on the prior decision, the prior denial, which is in the file, which I printed out and also left on my printer. Doesn't do any good to print out 20, 30 pages for a meeting and then leave it in your office. I'll recycle it tomorrow. Let's ask the applicant then to speak to why this application is different from the last one. Why don't you bring us up to date?
Okay, so you have a plot plan, the last building that was denied did meet the 10-foot offset. This one will be back 17 feet off the property line because it doesn't have the jog out as to the prior building. And again, the height is dramatically reduced. The height of the other building that was denied was 35 feet.
Right.
And this one is 17.
I do have that decision actually.
Yeah, I got the decision right here.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I grabbed from the printer. All right, and the new plan.
I have it here too, Tom.
Okay.
I'm sharing it on Zoom.
Oh, thank you. So the new plan is, actually, it's off of the old plan, I guess, because the date is August 14 of 2018, revised through July 12, 2021. So the building you're saying has been dimensionally changed, and it's in a different...
Position has been changed
It's a
as well.
different position here as well?
Correct.
Okay. It's now, according to this, 17 feet off the side yard line. It's 50 by 60 feet. Wasn't that the old dimension?
Yeah, but the old one had a bump out that brought it 12 feet off the property line. This doesn't have that, and again, the height is dramatically decreased.
Where is the height indicated here?
It's in the plan itself, which you also have.
It's in another rendering.
It's another rendering? Is
Yeah.
it this, the 3D drawing?
Is it this, maybe,
Yeah.
17 feet?
Yeah, that's the height.
Does it indicate 17? Oh, yes, I see. Okay.
Is it kind of like a flat roof, or is it a pitched roof?
No, it's pitched, it's a steel building.
Is 17 feet to the peak?
No.
Correct.
It looks like it's to the side
Looks like
here.
the side.
To the side.
Oh, is it 17 feet? 18.9 to the peak.
Okay. Well, we'd have to include that in any decision. Now, last time Mr. Mohammed was here, there was opposition from the abutter. I understand that opposition is not present tonight. Well, we'll get to that. But could you explain what's occurred there? Have you talked it over with that person?
We're on talking terms. I really don't know what exactly the reason was, but we're on, he waves and I wave, and that's really about it. And I've actually started doing, I have a new building that's 19 feet, and, 18.9, and he said the main issue they had, him and his wife, were actually the height. So I'm like, okay, I go, that was something I'd asked before, if that was something, that was an issue, I've been more than happy to take care of it then.
Okay.
Since then, and that's why we reduced the height from, the old building was actually 31 to the peak, this one's 18.9, and that would hide it behind all the trees.
Yeah, I see the trees drawn on here, and you had done that last time too.
Yeah.
I just can't see the last plan very well at all. But that's fine.
Yeah, right there.
Okay, and that was just, it was less than 10 feet off?
Yeah.
Well, there was a small bump out
Yeah.
that they
Yep.
got rid of, but the overall building is actually set 1 foot closer. It was 18 before, now it's 17.
Right.
Oh, I see. Okay.
What was the, I'm sorry, I know you mentioned it, but what was the original height of the first building?
It was 31 at the peak.
It was Yeah, essentially, there was a loft there, or
Yeah.
could be used as such, and the neighbor had objected, I remember that.
Yep.
You know, Now, this is a pre-existing non-conforming, as we learned the last series of hearings, because there's actually there are two residential structures here. The existing carriage house, which is shown on the plan, was converted to an apartment. And that, remind us of the history of that?
The house was built in 1900, and the carriage house, I believe, in 1935. So.
And it was used as a separate residence
Yes, it was.
when zoning came in?
Yeah,
I remember we'd inquired about it last time, but. So, let me, other questions from the board? Let's see if I got that. Is that or not?
Chair, can I?
Yeah.
So I realize the height
Of course.
is, has dropped pretty significantly. How many cars are you estimating that you could park in there?
about 13,
13?
like we did last time.
Okay.
Wasn't that the same number as last time? And we had discussed in the last meetings, and the applicant had agreed, I believe, to a condition saying that if there was any concern that he was going to be buying and selling cars from there, he represented that he was not intending to do that. These are for collectible or collected cars.
Just my personal collection.
And I believe we had talked about a condition stating that we would, I forgot if it was see the titles or, you know, prior to construction or something like that. They're titled to you or to an organization?
No, the title to me.
To you
My
first?
personal collection, that's got nothing to do with the business.
Yep.
He was gonna supply a list of the vehicles.
That was it, a list that could be maintained. Right. But let me ask about the section, Paul, and I didn't print that out, that page. I printed it out, but I didn't bring it. It's on the last couple of pages of the book. You have the book? It's one of the last entries. It says that we cannot give relief on an application that has been denied less than 2 years ago.
What?
I don't have the,
1.6.
175-10 something, 1014 rings a bell? Oh, you have it there? It has the book. 1014, I thought.
What was it? 1013. Oh, repetitive petitions?
There it is.
Okay.
You got it.
Pull this up on,
Yep.
let me put this up on the screen.
Oh, thank
too.
you. That is it, part A. Point 13, huh?
Yeah, let me,
You have it there?
What is it, 10 what?
13,
13, it's 10.13.
if you have the same edition here.
I should,
10, 10 point, where's 10?
yeah.
I'm gonna
That's it.
put this up on
Yep.
Yeah,
here
within
as
2
well.
years.
In the first paragraph.
It's the very first paragraph.
No appeal, application, or petition which has been unfavorably and finally acted on by us shall be acted favorably upon within 2 years after the date of the final unfavorable action, unless and until we, just paraphrasing, by unanimous vote of the board, or two,
Material changes.
specific material changes in the conditions upon which the previous unfavorable action was based and describe such changes in the record of its proceedings. Okay. So reading that, I think we can grant relief if we choose to within the 2 years, as long as we specify the changed conditions, which is exactly what we've been talking about here.
Right.
Do you agree, Board? And I didn't talk to
Sounds like-
council on this, but I just wanted to bring that up and review it with you.
We gotta really look at our last decision then.
Okay. I have the decision here.
I think I got it.
Okay. Do you feel you need some time to go over it?
No, I just wanted to make sure that we cover,
Those conditions?
Those conditions.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
so we're not left.
Yeah, I found something over here.
If we voted now, we'd also have to condition it on the applicant, I assume, dropping the appeal. I assume the applicant is offering to do that. We'd have to condition that. I didn't talk to council about this. I don't know what's occurred. In the court proceeding. I kind of feel I should know that before proceeding. I'm not suggesting that it's going to impair. Yeah, go up just a little bit. Remember? I had said, I'm not sure it's going to impair my decision, but I think I'd like to know from our council, the status of what is going on and what's gone on. I don't know about any of the proceedings. We haven't discussed with her any of the proceedings in a long time since they began, I think. But are there questions of the applicant and his representative right now?
I don't have any questions on the structure, no.
Okay, I remember the last time we were concerned about number of cars. We were
Right.
concerned about the
Square
screening,
the square footage.
square footage, and the height. And the screening, which the applicant had taken care of. But other than that, I think it is the same approximate dimensions, so and for the same approximate purpose, the applicant, basically, I'm just summarizing, is offering to, reduce the height of what he had sought before. I think what I would like to do is consult counsel as to any special considerations for us, and also ask her if that's going to, if the litigation that's been ongoing at all impacts what we're doing here before we actually take a vote. I'm going to suggest that we continue this to the next meeting. I'm inclined to grant the application. I voted for it last time, and the other two members voted against it, so it was a decline. This, to me, is less of offensive, to use that, maybe a misplaced word, than the last application. So I don't have a problem with this application, except that I want to hear from council first, and also give the members a chance to review council's advice, if there is any advice, as well as the prior decision, which we have in the file. I looked at it, but I don't want to, I want you to be comfortable with the considerations that we had in the decision before. Do you agree with that course of action to continue this as well?
I think that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, I think I'm not comfortable taking a vote until council briefs us in some form, even if it's a response to
An email.
an email
Right.
to Paul saying the litigation's been
I think that would be prudent on the board.
dormant, or no, there's nothing going on. I don't know about things like costs or attorney's fees or anything like that. And I feel I should run it by council before taking a vote. Anybody have other questions of the applicant, though, at this time?
The square footage is still the same, right?
It's a little bit less.
A little bit less? That's, I'm trying to figure that out.
Doesn't have
It
the
was
bump out.
3162 last time, this time it's 3,000.
By 3,000.
Yeah.
The old plan is in there. I can't see it.
It's right here.
Okay. Does it indicate footage and all?
Yeah.
I did print that out, and that's not, the print is
3120.
terrible. Okay. Oh, I see, but that's all
Yeah.
there. Okay.
So I mean, I guess,
Yeah, go ahead.
so one of our concerns was the square footage.
Well,
That was,
Yeah, I think we talked about the definition of accessory building.
yes,
and,
that as
yeah,
well.
yeah. I mean, I get that they reduced it in size, height-wise, but I just want to make sure, I want to look at it, because I think that was one of your concerns was the square footage and special permit, and I thought we talked through that, but I want to go back in my notes. I thought we did.
Yep, a special permit's required if a structure, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, is 2,500 square feet or more,
Right.
but not if it's a residential use.
That's what I thought.
Right.
That's my understanding.
Correct.
Yeah,
So-
accessory to residential use.
Right.
So
Right.
is this an accessory residential use, or is it not an accessory
Right.
residential use?
And I remember talking through that. I thought we
I
came
thought
to.
we got
I
counsel to give us an opinion on that, too.
Right, and I couldn't find it off quick, but.
Yeah, I don't have that.
If I could just add one thing.
Yes, you can.
I believe in the end, it was summarized as being detrimental to the neighbor because of the size of the building. And the neighbor referred to the height as, he didn't want to look out his house and see something that tall. And even with the trees being screened and now with the size reduced, it basically is invisible to the neighbor. And I don't see the neighbor here or on Zoom objecting, unless I'm missing something.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just one.
Yes, go ahead.
I spoke to John and Amanda, and they both said their concern was the height, wasn't the size, it was the height. And if I could get it 25 feet or under, I'd be fine, so I got 18.9, I even went above and beyond. So I did speak to
Okay.
both.
It
Understood.
would be,
Go ahead.
would the board be overstepping asking to hear that from them?
We can't,
Can't force
we
it.
can ask
I know we
that, but they don't, we can't empower.
No,
we
no,
can't-
right, obviously, we can't make them come in, but
They
if
were
they be.
sent a letter,
Yeah, I mean,
and
they're
it
not
is
at the
public
meeting.
notice,
got-
and they could
Hold
I'm
on,
just-
just one at a
Yeah.
time. I understand.
I was just saying, it was their concern, and I'm not saying that you're not saying anything untruthful. If they're willing to at least, because this sounds like it's gonna be continued, if, I wouldn't mind hearing that from them.
Or a letter from.
Or a letter or
signed-
something.
Signed by them. I don't know if they're
If-
going to do that, but you might want.
If they don't, it's fine, I believe you, but,
He's going through a lot of stuff right this second, something that I want to discuss.
Yep.
He's probably not gonna be,
it's fine.
he's got some issues going on in the town of Norton.
Yep,
So, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay,
He's probably not gonna be very talkative with a lot of people.
okay.
Like I said, the waving parts, they had a baby daughter and wave at him.
yep.
No, we,
My wife bought some stuff for him, so other than
Well,
that.
let me ask right now, is there anybody in attendance remotely or in the room that wishes to speak in favor of or in opposition to this application? Sir, could you identify yourself?
Yes, Mohammed Parvaz, and I just wanted to speak in favor of it. Knowing my brother and knowing what's going on with the past few years, see what's going on with the case. I know he loves the town of Norton, and he's very passionate about it. He does have a passion with cars, and it is a residential use, it's not commercial. We worked together at Norton Motors for over 20 years.
What is the place, the business?
Yeah, but we work at Northern Motors, but that's our place. But his house in Norton is his residence. So he does have passion about collecting cars. Since he was a kid, that's all he did. As you know, he's a great asset to the town of Norton. He keeps his house very meticulously maintained. He doesn't cause any problems. He's married, he's got 2 kids. He goes to work, comes home, works in his yard, and he likes to, enjoy his family time. So he's good to the neighbors, all the neighbors love him, and I've been watching the meetings and what's been going on, and I think this is time, it's to put this to rest. And I know in his mind, there's nothing more than just move forward to the next step and put whatever happened in the past, it's like water under the bridge, and not worry about what's going on anymore. Just get the approval, get on with his life. It's been dragging on for a while, so, I'd like to see a pending decision. It would be nice to, put everybody at ease and let's move forward and let's get this thing done. And
Thank
I'm all
you.
in favor for it.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in attendance, either here or remotely, to speak in favor of or in opposition to the application?
I'd like to make a couple of comments. if
Yes,
I could.
please identify yourself.
Sure. My name is Steve Banks. I live at 29 Elm Street. It's the property directly across the street from 34.
Yes, Mr. Banks, go ahead.
And in general, I have no objection to the structure. I think aesthetic-wise, I have no concerns. There are trees that would block out most of it. I think the applicant has been a very good neighbor, and anybody who's driven by that property knows how meticulously they take care of it. So I've got no concerns about it being an eyesore or anything like that. I do have a couple of questions, though, that I'm hoping you folks can clear up for me, and those relate to the limitations of use. I understand why they want to get the new structure, and I've got no concerns with that. What I don't know is, things change over time, and my question is, if some year or two down the road, they wanted to use it for a different purpose, and you probably can guess that I'm worried that some business would start operating out of there. What are the limitations for that? Would they have to go back to the zoning board and submit a new application? So I have that question. And then also, kind of related, if they were to sell a home and now you've got a new owner, what limitations do they have? Are they grandfathered to do whatever they want? And I guess, am I protected from the fact that it's not going to change it from residential zoning? Should I feel comfortable about that?
I think.
So those are the questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Banks. I think we can answer them. You tell us if we do or don't. A decision would travel with the property so that it would, any limitations we place would be on the property itself for the next owner. The purchaser of the property would be bound by the same limitations.
Okay.
What was the first part of the question?
It was, what are the limitations for like the accessory structure?
The accessory use is what we were discussing a moment ago, whether this is an accessory use to a residential structure. We would put in the decision that it would only be for for the storage of collector cars, or automobiles, for collection purposes, pertinent to a residential use that the property is, not to be used for commercial purposes, that sort of thing.
Okay, so if the application were approved, that condition goes with the approval?
Well, that's what we have to talk about, and we would discuss that, and I'm just assuring you that those are the issues that we're talking about, so we would certainly put those in, I think, in any decision granting what's been asked for. Yes, we would address those.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Is there anybody else to speak in favor of or in opposition to the application? I think we're not going to take this up tonight. I am going to ask the applicant to return in 4 weeks to the meeting of September 15th, if I got that right, so we can consult town council to get an update on anything we need to know about the litigation, or anything else that she may feel is appropriate. What do you members want to do about the accessory use question. I think we might have gotten something from council 2 years ago. I don't remember what it is. I'd have to go back in either the file or in my emails to look at that. We can certainly ask Amy to give us some sketch of whether she's comfortable that, if we put the right language in a decision, we could limit it to an accessory use for a residential, for the residential use. I think that was the response
I mean,
last
I
time.
struggled last time with the concept of an accessory building with a 30-foot by 50-foot building,
Well,
high building, fit in that definition. I will say, just in general, having heard what I heard tonight, I mean, the fact that it's supposed to lower makes me feel a lot better about it. I certainly understood the neighbor's concern, because I think I would have felt the same way if I had a 30-foot structure on the side of my property that close.
and I'm not asking you to state a
Yeah.
position tonight.
No, I'm not either,
But-
no, I'm not, I'm just saying I feel more comfortable in general with this. Because I just struggle with the concept of an accessory building, and, and the height definitely played into that as far as my feelings, whether or not it was insubordinate to the rest of the other buildings, because it was almost as tall as the other buildings on the property. It's not, obviously, it won't be as tall this time around, so. Those are kind of just my initial thoughts, so I'm not as.
Well,
I'm
is there
comfortable.
something specific you'd like to ask town council about the accessory use and why this wouldn't go to the planning board? My understanding is if we condition it to be an accessory use, it's an accessory use to a residence.
Right.
Therefore, it's done. It doesn't go.
Yeah, right.
You have some doubt, and I'm not questioning your doubt. I think it's, legitimate as to whether a garage for the storage of collector cars is an accessory use. Am I summarizing correctly?
Yeah, I think I was struggling more with just the overall size of the structure versus the use last time.
Okay.
I think there was also concerns that it could become a repair shop, which is not allowed in that zone.
Yeah,
So,
but
right?
that's something we can
We
condition.
should get around that.
Yeah,
And
so,
we would,
yeah, absolutely.
any decision, I would, insist that be in there, but, yeah, go ahead.
My
Mr.
other
Tomato.
question to town council would be with reference to the 2-year application. Where is the square footage? Although the height is reduced, the square footage hasn't, very little.
Okay.
Is that
It's a substantial
Is that a
change.
substantial change which would allow us to be bound by that 2-year
Okay,
statute,
Understood.
that bylaw?
yeah, because our decision, what is?
I think they met everything else. I think the height does, it definitely changes the height and, with the bump
Okay.
out, it changes the side setback.
Our decision was
I struggle a little bit with this.
September 30, 2019, so,
I struggle a little bit with with the square footage. I just want to make sure we're comfortable. We're good there.
with the 2-year.
Well, the whole concern last time was, at what point is it accessory structure? If you put 30,000 feet on the property, is that still considered accessory, right? So there is something in the bylaw that talks about industrial space or warehouse space over 5,000 square feet going down the special permit road. But I remember we had like a calculator of 2,500 square feet, so we were kind of caught in the middle there.
Well, that 2,500 is in the bylaw for,
2,500 is in the bylaws for commercial property.
Well, non-residential
No, I'm sorry,
use.
yes, thank you,
Non-re-
non-residential
well,
use.
So,
But, I mean, I don't know.
I'm going to ask council if a use is, if we decide that it's an accessory use for a residence, does that take it out of there? Or is there an issue
Yeah.
to be had with how the use itself? Are there some uses that aren't pertinent to a residential use?
When's it not considered a warehouse?
Okay,
That's my question to
got it.
council.
Is
If you're
warehouse
storing-
in the
if you're storing
bylaws?
30 cars, I'm sorry, but that's a warehouse.
Okay.
He's already told
Could,
you.
you got to identify yourself for the record?
Paul Macadon, good friend of Mr. Farris.
Do you live in town?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Um,
Spell your last name just so we have it.
Makedon.
Thank you.
This is my second meeting I've been to. You guys have a problem with the size of this building, but in the town law, he's within every rule to the town, correct?
No,
And you guys have a concern about him putting 30 cars when you told you can put 13. I just have a trouble understanding why it's such a big deal. He pays taxes in the town. He's an unbelievable person. I mean, you can talk to all his neighbors. I just don't understand why he can't put this building on his property.
okay. We're trying to go under the bylaws that we have to work with, and we're discussing the problems. It's not within the rules of the town. It's outside of the rules. That's why he's here. He's asking for permission to do something that's not apparent in the rules. So,
Well, it is
we
within
hear
the
you.
rules. I mean, the size of the building is within the rules.
yes, but the rules say if it's a certain size building, it needs a special permit.
Okay.
If it's not a residential, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, but your concern is a warehouse.
Don't argue with us. We're saying we're gonna find out. We're gonna ask town council to give us an opinion.
Paul, there's two buildings on the building,
Yeah.
so it's automatically non-conforming, so it becomes outside.
We're telling you it's not conforming. We're trying to see how to get around that, sir. So that's why we're here. We understand that you're a friend and you think he's a great guy, but that's not what we're looking at. He seems like a great guy, but
I mean,
that's not
he's
our
been through hoops for
concern.
you guys for 2 years. I just don't understand why it's taken 2 years to figure this out.
Okay.
That just doesn't make sense.
Are there any other questions or comments for the applicant? Do you feel comfortable with me doing an email to town council, and I'll share it with you, and it'll be part of the record as well, of course, my question to town council? Well, actually, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Her response would be,
That's actually or not.
that would be confidential.
Yeah, no, so scratch that. I'm going to communicate with town council in some form and try to get her to give us some guidance on this. If she's available to attend the next meeting, I will ask her to answer these questions. Okay? With that, yes?
And as far as the other litigation stuff goes, when you email Amy, she can actually possibly email my attorney, John Dennehy. They've been in contact, so.
That's what I'm going to ask her. That's part of what I want to ask is what's going on in the litigation.
Right.
Is this going to mess up anything, and can we just condition it on, if we were to say yes, that you would, dismiss it within 10 days or something like that?
I believe he spoke to her, again, I believe he spoke to her about that already, but absolutely, reach out to her and.
We're going to do that, yep.
And that's kind of what we're thinking about doing.
I
Okay.
have one last thing to say, which I believe you already pointed out. If we're coming back on September 15th.
Yep.
We're 5 days short of the 2-year window.
I understood.
Where you can't approve it, so that was one of your concerns.
Yeah.
Understood.
Wait 5 days and that's irrelevant.
Well, it's not,
Well, no, I mean, you would have to push
Right.
it to another meeting if that.
but we'll deal with that.
Right.
We're just asking the questions, so we just want to get the right answers to those. And that was one of my questions too earlier
Yeah.
today, when I saw the decision. So if there's nothing else, is there a motion to continue this matter to the meeting of September 15 at, say, 7:05 PM?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
No further discussion. Mr. Wren, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Tenora, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Noel votes yes as well. Thank you very much. See you in 4 weeks then?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, it's good to find solutions.
Nice to see you in person, Nick. I've only spoken
Yeah.
to you.
Nice to see you in person as well.
Sorry we were late. After going to the other place 8 times. it just took it.
You weren't late?
Take care, guys.
All right, you
I
too.
got a 28 mile lane.
No, I apologize for hesitating for a second. I'm getting confused because the date of the decision. Wow.
Yeah.
There's no way it's disseminated.
The decision, I put the date of the meeting there, I think, and then it gets written up in a couple of weeks. And then it gets stamped in a couple of weeks after that, so if that's, what does it say, date of hearing?
Well, the date of decision is September 18th.
That's the date of the hearing then.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah, but then we have a September, we have September 28th public hearing presentation.
I don't know, that's a mistake. I don't know. I'll have to
Yeah,
look.
and then it was signed at 9:30.
Yeah, I'll have to look.
Yeah.
We're definitely.
No, sure, that's why I just hesitated, because I was getting, he was saying 5 days, and then I was like,
I don't know where that came from.
well, I just want to make sure we're on the same page, because I was a little confused myself.
I will, I'll look at the decision. If I made a mistake, I will be angry. Date of decision, September 18. That's the date of the hearing, September 18. Then I wrote it up, we wrote it up in the next couple of weeks, so that's 12 days later is the day I signed
I
it.
was just looking at the bottom of page 3.
Oh, is it different on 3?
No, but then we do it September 28th.
Oh, that.
Public hearing presentation.
Which, I'm gonna guess was probably September 18th, because we typically do.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
it,
we
you're
didn't
right, that
catch it.
is a mistake.
I saw the,
Damn me,
Well,
that's all right.
you scared me there.
We all reviewed it.
Yeah, that's right. All right,
So, where we at
let's
now?
move on. Next item on the agenda is the application concerning 83 West Main Street. The applicant is Daniel Rich. Mr. Rich is here. The owner is Gary Brennan. Is this Mr. Brennan with you?
No, he's not here. This is
Okay. This is a matter that we're also going to have to continue, I think. However, Mr. Rich chose to, I think Paul notified you today that, did not? I'm sorry. Maybe I'm thinking of the other application.
You told me.
Yeah,
Okay.
Paul's a great guy.
For council's involvement as well. But Mr. Rich, good of you to come to explain to us, I cannot see on the plan, the parcel is not large enough on the plan.
That's why
that
we
I
made
have.
this a little bit bigger.
Well, if you, no, please don't block the cameras. Yep, keep it off to the side so we can see that, because Paul can project it on,
Oh, okay.
which he's
Yeah.
doing. Good. We do have in the file a copy of that plan. This is an odd set of circumstances. There are 2 adjoining properties where the applicant's property, apparently the applicant tonight, apparently his property has on it part of the neighbor's residence, including a, I guess it is or was a pool, swimming pool?
That's correct.
Indoor pool.
Swim in that pool.
And other things. So this is the abutter wanting to sell his property, needing to clear up what's out there. And this applicant is asking, Mr. Rich, tell me if I have it backwards here, if I state it backwards, to convey a sliver of property to the homeowner at 79 West Main.
Correct. The pool house was built in 1980, and it was built
Excuse
on
me.
2 different, somebody else's land, not just 1, but 2. Actually, we'll be back with you, and I'll explain later, again, coming back. But what happens is that the corner of this pool is on, portion of this is on Mr. Brennan's land. This partial part is on the homeowners for the condo association. But I'm not in front of you with the condo association tonight. I will be back with that once we get the paper.
That's what I figured, that this
Yeah.
was going to be a piecemeal.
Yeah. We've actually spoken with the condo association. They need a variance. They will sell to us the part where the pool house is on their land.
Is that 1B?
Yes. The problem with that is then we need an upland variance because they won't have enough upland to, make this lot smaller so we don't have enough upland. So we'll be back for you later on because this parcel is owned by the condo association. There are 12 members. We need all 12 members to sign. Their attorney's getting the sign. I think one of them died, so I think there's a personal representative going to be appointed for that to okay that. So the condo associations agreed, but we just haven't got that yet. That's why it's not before you tonight.
Is 1B a separate parcel, that square?
That's where.
Approximate square?
We're hoping, when this is all said and done, that 83 West Main sells us that little sliver, so it puts the pool house
That's what I can.
on their land, right? And then this one, I think there's 85, it's 80.
Mr. Chair.
Yep.
83 and, let me see, 85. This is 85, this is 83. So we've got two different people, but I'm only on tonight with
Right.
83. This is the one right here.
Now, you are also, however, the attorney or representative of the estate?
Personal representative of Butch Ridge. Yeah, but you should have a purchase and sale in your packet.
I guess, yes.
Yeah. So it gives me authority to do that. But what happens is, if in fact he sells us that piece, then we're making a pre-existing non-conforming lot more non-conforming. So we need a variance from that, and then we'll need a variance because now he'll hit the side yard setback will be moved. So we're gonna need a variance for that also.
I'll just note that I couldn't see any of those distances that you're talking about on the plan we have. I see a 3.1 now.
Right, okay, if in fact this lot goes, if in fact we're allowed to purchase it, we'll need a variance for this garage because it'll be too close to the lot line. And we're making it that way. Right now, it's pre-existing non-conforming, but if in fact he sells us that piece, then we're gonna make it more non-conforming, and then he's gonna need a variance for his garage on that section over there.
But it'll be 3.1 feet after
Right.
it's said and done.
Right.
Yes.
After?
Right.
Yeah.
What is it now at that corner? Do we know?
It looks like it's 6.
Well,
Probably like
actually,
double, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it looks that way, but it's
I
not.
mean, we
Okay.
don't know, but it looks, double.
Yeah.
But we're approving the lesser, so.
Right.
Right, it's the 3.1 that he's asking for, and
Yeah.
that's what I can't see the triangle. I can't make out which triangle we were
Well,
talking about. Is it just
let me
the
just see if I-
shaded portion of the triangle?
No, the shaded portion of the triangle is the pool house.
Right, so this goes up like this.
Yep.
Yeah, it's between
Yeah.
that line, so here's the existing property line right here.
Yeah.
And it's-
And the new property line
Mhm.
would go from here.
It's like a little wedge.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
Jim might have it zoomed in.
I think what you said, I zoomed in, he's going from here, it right now goes here,
Right,
and cuts this section, this,
This will be a trapezoid then. If
exactly.
It's
Now,
not a triangle at all, it's not a pie, it goes down at an angle, yeah.
So
to
who
the back.
owns 1B?
1B, right now, 1B
Condo,
is
condos.
the
Oh, that's
85.
right, oh, there.
That's
Okay.
85.
Condo.
That's a different
Condo
application
Association owns
later.
that. And they voted to get it to us, to sell it to us. Unfortunately, all the homeowners on that in the association have to sign off. So it's not ripe yet, but this one was, and we'll start with this one.
Okay, the pool house was constructed when, 1980?
1980, actually, the variance was given to build close by this board in 1980. I got a copy of the decision.
Is there a variance?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't see that in our file. Can you get us that copy?
Sure, absolutely. I wasn't involved, I have no idea what happened.
Oh, we were in diapers, weren't we?
I wasn't.
Just say yes, you didn't lie about your age, you. Wow.
Why is this coming to light now? To sell the property, or?
Well, Mr. Clarence P. Rich Jr. owned it, and he passed away. And then when he passed away, we were in the estate getting ready to sell it, and it came to light that
Ah, okay.
somebody had known about it earlier, it's just, Mr. Rich, when it's deceased, said it was taken care of, and no one ever did. But apparently it was never taken care of.
Can we get a copy of
Sure,
that?
sure can.
Sent to us?
Yeah.
Because I was wondering how this occurred. Maybe that'll answer some of it.
Yeah, and
I
it's,
don't think the variance was for negative 2 feet, though.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Tom, the variance, and I've never seen it, but somewhere along the road that there was a variance given.
Yeah.
I don't know if anything was ever checked, if it got constructed on somebody else's property, right?
I don't know if there was a
We don't
plan
know
submitted,
that,
I
right?
have no clue. I have no clue.
But,
So
yeah,
we
we
discovered
wanted-
this,
we're trying to sell the property, we've got several owners, but we can't do anything without clearing this mess up.
That makes sense.
It's, I mean, we're not changing anything other than the ownership of this little sliver and this piece right here.
Land shift.
So Paul DiGiuseppe had the peace of mind to ask counsel about this, and I just got involved in that today. I haven't spoken with Amy either, but Amy today responded, she didn't know tonight was the meeting. She did want to look at this, and I said, please, can you? And I offered to continue this as well, so we'll have a meeting of continuances. But I think we have to do that at minimum to deal with this issue. But this is staggered, and that's what I thought when I looked at it today. This is only one piece of the puzzle.
We're gonna be coming in for 3.
Yeah.
This is one, this
But I
was
guess my
2.
question,
Well,
Chairman,
go ahead.
is what's the problem with tonight's application if he's just shifting a line over for the 3-foot side set yard?
Because they're making this more non-conforming by
Yep.
reducing lot size.
Yep.
I'm not sure if we can do that.
I think you've already done it, though. I was in front of the board a couple of years ago on
Okay.
Oak Street. Eddie Whitcomb and Gary Cameron. Eddie Whitcomb had sold land to Gary Cameron that made his more non-conforming. So I had to get a variance, and I came.
I don't know which one that is, I don't
Yeah,
remember
It was on Oak
that.
Street, 12, 13 Oak Street, maybe.
Well, we can look that up.
Yeah, pretty sure.
That was one legal question, whether that can be done. If the answer is no, I don't know what anyone does here, but.
Yeah, exactly.
But we got to know the answers, before we act. Oak Street, huh?
Yeah.
And you think in a couple of years?
Yeah, maybe 3 years ago, but I'm getting old. I can't remember the years past so quickly. The gentleman that got it, I think, was Eddie Whitcomb. Whitcomb, and he had sold a parcel of his land to Gary Cameron, which made Eddie Whitcomb's land more non-conforming. So we came in and got a variance and he actually sold his house, Mr. Whitcomb. He just passed away, but he sold his house after.
Was that done for some kind of construction reason, or?
No, it was an odd-shaped lot in the back, and so Eddie Whitcomb and Gary Cameron agreed that Eddie was gonna sell him some land, not knowing that he was gonna make his land more non-conforming. So he sold his land to him, they passed deeds, and then Eddie Whitcomb finds out he can't do anything with his house because he had non-conforming. So we came in, I helped him with a variance to come in and do that.
But there are a couple of legal questions framed, and that's, I didn't get into it. I haven't talked with Amy at all. I just emailed.
Is that Amy, the
Amy.
town council?
Yes, yes.
What's her last name?
Qualter?
Questle?
Questle, yeah, sorry. Amy Questle. But there were a couple of issues that she brought up and said she would like to.
Does she have a copy of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she has the plan set,
All right.
yeah.
So we couldn't get her comments for tonight, but I would like to, and unfortunately continue this as well, but I think that's the right thing to do for each of these tonight. This one is odd,
It's unique,
obviously.
just to say, yeah.
Well, and on the flip side, when we come back for a variance of 79, it's a non-conforming, pre-existing non-conforming. We're gonna need a variance for a side yard setback on that.
Don't you need that at the same time? I mean,
Well, we wouldn't need it to take care of this one, to satisfy that. We're gonna need it both.
it still sits on the side property line, though.
I think they might all have to be simultaneous because they're all involved
That's what I'm wondering.
together.
No, but I think one has to be approved before the next one can be approved, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I think that.
But it could all be in one.
Ultimately, or simultaneously, it's either,
'Cause-
however you do it, because if you approve one, you.
His will be non-conforming, we're making it
But you
non-conforming.
can't not approve the other one if you
can't
approve
not
one.
approve all three of them, so you
Right.
kind of have to do them all at the same time.
Yeah, I approve
So-
79, but I don't approve 83.
Right, that's what
You
I'm
can't do
getting
that.
at.
Well, it's almost like we need 2A, then we need 1B, and then number 3 can get all his setbacks.
What is number 3 is just
main
for the
house.
setbacks?
That's 79 West Main Street.
And that's
Okay.
just for setbacks, or is
No,
that a
what happened
non-conforming
is,
as well?
once
Well, it is,
once we move
of
the
course.
line, the pool will be too close.
The pool's on three
Yeah.
properties.
Right. So if this is allowed, then 79 is going to need a setback for that one.
It's that setback.
Yeah.
But is that considered a non-conforming property?
It's
3?
It's a pre-existing non-conforming property.
Not if it was built in
3,
1980.
79.
Yeah, you don't have enough frontage.
Yeah.
Not if it was.
The lot sizes.
Oh, for
Yeah.
that, it
Yeah.
is, yes.
We're going to have to
yes.
come back for that.
I see.
We're actually not changing anything that's there, just the lot line.
Yeah, but I guess why does 3 need, why does 3 need if it's increasing? What's the approval?
Somebody the side yard setback on the pool house.
Yeah, because you're still
Because you're not-
only at a
which
couple
is
feet.
the side
3
yard
feet.
setback requirement for that zoning district.
But he's at negative now, he's going
I know.
to 3 feet, what's the approval?
Yeah, but
I
you're
would
still
imagine
not
it's
the
still
10-foot
not-
minimum.
That's but that's a good question. Why
You're not changing anything, you're not
why
building
do we,
anything new, what's
why
there
would
to
we
approve?
approve it? It's sort of the property
You're
owners.
decreasing
I know.
2A, you're decreasing 1B, but 3 is just increasing, so I don't think there's anything for 3 in my opinion. Because you're not constructing a new, if the applicant was here with number 3 saying, hey, I'm putting a new garage back there, and I need to move all these lots, and then I need approval for the new garage. But right now, 3's not gonna do anything, 3's just getting more land out of it.
It's not making it more non-conforming, is your point?
I think it's 2 approvals in my opinion.
Would it be considered pre-existing non-conforming if it was created after the bylaw was existing?
No. That's what I'm getting at too.
Created in 1980, the
When
bylaw.
when were the lots divided? Do we know that? I think,
Well, would it necessarily be the lots, or would it be the house itself?
This house was built in 1950.
well,
But
the
house
pool,
was constructed in
1980.
1980 after the bylaw was created.
right.
So would that be considered a pre-existing non-conforming structure?
No, not in my view. When the lot was created in 1950, the lot lines? Or do you know? Do we
I'm sorry,
know?
say that.
When were the lot lines drawn?
Those are
Probably,
probably 1950.
yeah. This lot was 19, this house was 1950.
it did
Didn't
make
have
a-
the pool, it just had the house.
It would be a pre-existing non-conforming lot,
Lot, but
but not the structure.
Well, the structure, I think, it goes back to the 1980 decision.
For the
If
variance.
the homeowner built it, the
That's what I
pool
want.
house in the wrong location,
But I
then it
want,
becomes
that's
a
why,
building control.
that's why we need to see the
inspector
decision.
issue.
We need the
But from a
decision.
zoning perspective, in my opinion, if this was approved and it was built, then I don't think number 3 needs any kind of approvals.
Maybe you're right.
I'm just,
Yeah.
speaking out loud, I think it's a 2-step approval.
Because it's not making it more non-conforming.
No.
175E is, will it be more non-conforming?
Exactly.
But we need to know the history, I think.
If you don't mind, what I may do is run that question by the title insurance company to see if they'd insure over it. If they wouldn't, then I'd probably have to get a variance. If they're not gonna insure over it, nobody would buy it like that, so.
What
What
would be the
variance?
variance?
What's the
What-
variance?
Put the variance for, because it's a non-conforming lot with a small area, it doesn't,
It would recognize the mistake.
right, bingo.
Corrected lot line
Yeah,
and mistake.
and
as a
the side
legal
for the pool.
document.
Unless the 1980 decision, unless it was built
That's what I
not
want.
off the 1980 decision.
That's what I want to see.
Exactly.
So we need the decision copy. I would like to ask the applicant to establish when the lot lines were drawn,
When you say lot lines, I'm not quite, this one.
parcels.
When was the lot
Okay,
created?
That was in 1958, before 1950, I can tell you that right now. I don't know, this house, I've been in Norton 72 years, and this house are pretty much the same. That was the Fernandez house right here, when we were growing up, and that was the Rich's house there growing up. So they've been there quite a few years. But now, I can't tell you on the back here, I'm not sure. Well, that's a stone wall, I bet you that's there since the cows came home. That's why they had it there.
But we have to look at those questions of what is pre-existing.
Mm.
Hopefully there's a drawing with that 1980 decision, it makes it easier for all of us.
Yeah, I think I have a copy of that. Or if you give it to Paul, Paul, if we give you that, can you just, do you mind emailing it to me or something?
No, we all need to see it, yeah.
I can honestly not tell you if a plan was submitted in 1980 or not, I have no clue.
Yeah, I just
We'll
think that
pull-
at the end of the
try to
day,
find the file.
we're not changing lot, we're increasing lot 3, so there's
That's all
nothing to vote
basically all
on.
you're doing, yeah.
So, anything else to ask right now, tonight?
I'm just gonna wait for Amy about the lot size issue.
Right.
Well,
Is that right?
Yeah, and other issues that she may want to raise in this, yeah. It's something that the applicant is saying he needs to straighten out,
I mean, it makes sense, obviously. There's some big boo-boo in 1980 and needs to be corrected.
The pool was permitted in September of 1980, and then the enclosure of the pool was permitted in 1981. So a year relatively
I wonder if the,
after the fact. The
pool
pool went in
was
first,
approved.
and then was enclosed after.
and then they just enclosed it, and then take the
that,
lot
get it to me.
lines into,
That way you can-
imagine that.
nobody
Tom,
did
I
plans?
sent you,
My computer.
and I don't think
Oh,
it
yeah,
made
that's
one
a
more
Dropbox.
Dropbox
To a
and
non-company
if you had it,
computer.
right? Chris
Okay.
Carmichael had gone through this property and created a timeline.
Oh, you sent a timeline today?
Yeah.
That was one of the things I printed, yeah. And I didn't,
That spells out a lot about this property and the adjoining property, 77.
there's a
So,
timeline that,
I have it here, but I can get it to Paul and we can get it in for the next meeting so that you guys can all see it.
Yeah.
But,
I just saw it today too, so I didn't.
yeah, I
Pay attention.
didn't get to it till late in the day, so it's probably close to 4
But there was a
o'clock,
building
but-
permit issued for the enclosure
Main
of the
trick.
pool?
Yeah, so the file is like maybe this big. But Chris did go through this and he did put a timeline together, so, and I can go through it again and try to find the physical permits if we have them. But there was a permit pulled on September 9th in 1980. And then there was also a building permit application to enclose the pool in 81.
So,
There's other stuff that goes along with the property too, on the timeline that you guys can read through or get it to you.
so back then, you didn't have to submit a plot plan to get a permit like that?
I wasn't even going back then.
You're the only one who could say that here. You're the
I mean,
only
I've
one.
I wasn't even a thought.
I've swam in that pool, and
1980.
that pool has always been covered, as far as I can remember.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never, it was never uncovered.
I've never,
It
ever.
was never uncovered,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think it was long after the pool was put in the ground.
Well, it sounds like 1 year.
No, it was always covered.
Yeah, it's pretty
There's no
nice.
date in 81, so it could
I was
have
a
been
kid.
January
I was swimming
81
one
for all I
time.
know right now, but
I think Mr. Tenori caused the pool to be
enclosed for
put in
some
the
reason.
wrong place, yeah.
My
This
fault.
variance is 1980, September 1980, October 1980.
So whether
We'll see
or
that.
not the variance was granted, it never checked with an as-built at the end to make sure that the pool was constructed in the proper location.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because I think the variance said a 7-foot setback on the side.
Yeah,
And it's obviously,
maybe
they wouldn't have approved a
7
negative
feet-
2.
7
Yeah.
feet in the wrong direction, but
I
nonetheless.
would bet the pool is 7 feet, but not the structure,
Right.
from what it sounds like.
That makes sense to me. I just remember being in the pool. I believe there's some fairly large sides on the,
Yeah.
if I remember, on the sides of those pools.
Yeah.
So the structure that's there now,
Yeah.
and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I had walked it with the listing agent.
It's better, yeah.
And the structure was built, at some point, the pool was covered within the structure, so the pool is now
No longer there
covered.
anymore, right?
Yeah, and there's
Covered.
finished livable space within that enclosure of the pool.
So it's no longer a pool?
No.
No, so I don't know the different, without pulling the permits, what the dimensions of the actual pool are compared to the dimensions of the structure.
Oh, okay.
7
So-
feet from the
You mean it's just
sideline.
like somebody put a floor over
It's
it?
only off by
Yeah,
about
the
10
9
feet.
feet.
floor of the pool, there's a hatch that you can pull in the floor that accesses underneath it. So for all intents and purposes, the pool could have met the setback and the variance, right? And then when they built the structure, they might have enlarged it, not
We don't know that.
I got copy, we don't know that information.
I was a kid, but I remember it being at least, 6 to 8 feet on the left and right side.
Yeah,
I remember it being.
because there was a statue.
Yeah, there's a
The
statue
water
in it, right.
shot out, and then there was room there with a fish tank behind it.
Yeah, I mean, there was some substantial space on each side of
Yeah,
that pool.
I didn't see it to that extent, so I saw
Yeah.
a little,
Okay.
like 3 foot by 3 foot hatch that I got to open that was kind of right above the stairs.
You didn't go in?
I thought about it, but Christian said he wouldn't have caught me if I fell in.
Okay.
Also, a
Well,
lot
it
of
sounds
moving
like
parts.
a lot of, we
There's a
need a
lot-
lot
yeah,
of
there's a lot of-
investigation here, so. Is there anything else right now to solve?
No,
or,
that's big, that's it.
Consider what Lucas was saying, though, they be doing these simultaneously. Of course, you'll be able to update 1B maybe by then, too,
I hope
so.
so.
But, okay.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Mr. Rich, thank you. Is there just, there's nobody else in attendance that I can see remotely, just for the record, I'm noting that. Nobody else here to speak on this application. Thank you for
You're welcome, thank you.
your help, and we'll see you in a month.
So we put on for the September meeting?
Is there a motion to continue this matter to September 15 at 7:10 PM? Third item.
I will make a motion to continue this meeting to September 15th at 7:10.
I'll second.
No further discussion. Mr. Wren, how do you vote? Mr.
Yes.
Tenora, you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Noel votes yes as well.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Update us in the meantime, though, with copies. Thanks.
That was a nice pool.
There is something else now on the agenda.
195 Mansfield?
Let's get to it. And-
Well, yes.
Well, I have a question, so. Next item is discussion. Determine if town should seek local preference for 195 Mansfield Ave. And I don't know what that,
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
No, wait, hold.
This is what was just permitted.
They mentioned something about that in the last, when we were talking, who's that lady?
Judy.
Judy was talking about local preference. She said, I don't think, if I remember correctly, it wasn't upon the board to,
It was in regards to 253. I
That was
think,
for
correct?
253.
yeah, but she had mentioned something that it wasn't in our purview, right?
It was not.
Yeah.
It wasn't a requirement because it was put in 253 as a requirement. And Judy said, no, it isn't. And so then, but the folks, because in the decision for 195, we talk about providing a local preference, which means when they open up the building for, especially the affordable units, we would give priority, they would give priority to local residents.
people.
Oh,
Judy's response was, oh, that's not it.
I remember her response at the meeting. You should look at the article that's there, though, because that sort of gives some background. to
Yeah, I
it.
found that the most useful.
Yeah, but she helped, that was part of her study, but her response was, my advice, let it go.
What does that,
Right.
what does that mean?
Don't do it.
Don't do a
Yeah.
local preference.
Right, because of this, which
Who has asked to talk about this tonight? You or
I
some-
did. I did because
You did.
an
I was
agent,
joking,
an agent
actually. I
for
thought-
the, an agent
Thought Ms.
for
Swain
the,
did.
so the project's moving forward.
Yeah.
And so as they're starting to move forward at 195 Mansfield, they want, they're doing their due diligence, they're looking at the decision, and they, part of that, you recall from the decision, we said we would have a preference for local,
I
for a
see.
local.
We have it in that decision.
Right, so when he
This
sent.
is what Judy was talking about.
Yeah,
last
so
time.
when this gentleman sent me the material, I wanted to reach out to Judy and go, you know, I asked her, actually, do you have some sample letters for us? And her response was don't do it. It's because we've seen, their studies are showing that local preference policies have some adverse impacts, particularly against minorities. When you think about in Norton, if we gave a local preference, Norton has such a small population of minorities, we could be closing the door on those folks. And this would be at least opening up more opportunities for people within the region who need affordable housing to be able to obtain it.
is it local preference with a time frame though? Like, can you say, hey, we'd like to give local preference for 90 days or 60 days, or no? I'm just, that's a general
I don't
question.
know that it's if it is, it's not gonna be that short.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to get direction from you to see if we should pursue this.
Well,
Uh,
what, does our
Judy-
decision say that we want to exercise, or does it say we may want to? I mean,
Let me pull that
what
up.
happens if we?
If I remember correctly, it was
this
like
in
a,
the decision?
it was like a 2 or 3 year
I think it made-
local preference time. It was years.
There was a window? I don't remember.
I'm
the
pulling it up,
decision.
and my apologies, I should have put it in, I thought I had put it in your.
Well, I've got it, I
packet.
didn't have time to look at the decision. I should have, I really couldn't tell. I thought Ms. Sweet asked for this to be on the agenda, and then I didn't see an application or anything, so.
Well, this is 195, so.
Yeah.
Was Lynn involved in 195?
No,
You know
no,
what?
this is Peter Friedman.
She was at the meetings, but I guess she wasn't involved,
Yeah,
you're right.
they overlap.
You're right.
I'm just scrolling down.
It's all right.
Because we do.
Well, we don't have to solve it
So which,
tonight, do we?
195 is what, the one next to?
No,
McDonald's?
we don't have to. I
Yours
just,
with?
You're bringing
Right
it
now,
up.
McDonald's.
right.
Yeah.
You're bringing it up because we have to make a decision, but it sounds like
So I'm
we
sorry,
need
are we
to.
eliminating it?
Well, we have the option of asking the state to impose a local preference.
Yes.
Or
Or
not, which of course still allows locals.
So we can waive it, but that's why I want to see what's in the decision, but we don't have to find it right now, Paul.
Okay.
I mean, you don't need the answer tonight, right? You
No, we have.
We'll just
I think
continue
we
this,
have
too.
some time.
Well, so
continue the whole meeting. We didn't have to show up tonight.
I mean, my personal belief is I don't know what the regulations are and timeframe.
Okay, so here we go.
Hold that thought.
In the initial lease up for the project,
Yeah.
and to the extent allowed under 40B and the regulations promulgated, blah, 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 it's subject to approval by the state. With respect to at least 70% of the affordable units, the applicant shall provide a preference category for Norton residents and their parents and children, and for employees of the town. We do need it. This preference shall be implemented by the applicant, and the applicant shall maintain records of its marketing efforts.
So it says we shall.
The applicant shall submit to the board a report on marketing activity, all right, that's a requirement, during the initial lead up, demonstrating compliance with local preference.
Requirements, if we have them. But we've got to, Judy's suggesting we just waive this, I guess, let it drop.
Yeah.
But can we do that if it's in the decision? I mean, we supposedly decided to,
And or required by 40B.
Well, again, that's, 40B gives you flexibility.
we didn't have to include this paragraph in our decision. We did. Judy, at the last meeting,
Yeah, was
said,
pretty adamant, don't.
she
Yeah, I
was
remember
adamant
that.
about that. She said something like, oh, as often as I bring this up, towns don't always listen. And I was taken aback. I didn't know what she was referring to. I think she was referring to this, that this was in this decision still. Because she was taking it out of the second decision, I think.
yeah, she took, right.
Remember that? The
We
blue
swapped
line?
it, and then they blue
Right.
lined it out, and they were like, "Why are we doing this?" And Judy,
And her comment,
Her comment
remember
was
she
like,
kind of
"Don't-
shook her head and
yeah,
said, oh,
don't do this.
don't know how it got into the
Yeah.
former decision or something like that.
I
She
mean,
was-
don't get me wrong, my personal opinion, not, if there was a metric that we could put in there that said, hey, we wanna give local preference, cause I believe in local preference regardless of race, let's make it 25% of the units for 6 months and allow local residents who wanna stay in town but can't necessarily afford a unit on their own, they should have preference,
This
they live in our
says-
town, they
this
support our
says
town.
70% of
But
the.
70%, I agree,
I don't even know
that's
what that
high.
comes out to. 70% of how many units?
And is it 70% for the lifespan of the
100
project?
units in that project.
No, but the affordables, the 25.
25 of them.
So
We
70.
what, about 20, 18?
But 18 of them
15,
sitting,
yeah.
for how long? The local you know, what's
Till you
the, what's
fill
the
it
parameters?
for the
Yeah, not
initial rental.
necessarily sitting, but you would assume that
Initial rent
people
up,
in town are gonna be the first ones in, right? Because they're here watching it get built.
right.
As opposed to somebody in Danvers that doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
So,
Those local preference units will probably get filled first. You would assume would get filled first because people being up to speed with the project and the timeframe.
right. So if there are 15 or 16 out of the 25, you're saying 15 local preference if there's anybody taking it. But I understand what you're saying. Okay, if we have that, can we then modify it to say for the first year or 2 years? Or,
Yeah,
I
whatever.
think this says for the initial rent up. I guess that's
Yeah.
a term of art, you know, of filling it first. But doesn't that limit the developer then?
Yeah. To a point.
To a point, though.
To a point. I mean,
guess
they-
in a way, yeah. I know.
What do you think? What if they don't fill 15
Yeah,
units?
if you don't have 15.
Well, it's a
you don't have to
preference,
have-
it's not a
right?
requirement that
Right.
70% has to
Well,
go.
that's what I'm asking. How does that work? I don't know.
See, I would want to reserve a few for local, but I don't think, I mean, in my opinion, 70% is a high number, maybe.
Yeah,
But it's in our decision.
Yeah, no,
Then-
obviously.
Somehow.
I don't know, yeah, I don't remember that being that high.
Look at the reverse side too, Tom, to your point though, if there's nobody in Norton and you ask for local preference for a year or 18 months, now they could potentially be sitting on however many units you decide
I know.
Yeah.
and have to be turning people away at that point. So now it's a you know, struggle for the developer at that point because he has potential.
That's what
people who
I'm
would
surprised
move in.
Peter didn't say something, didn't object to this, or maybe we did talk about it. I don't remember specifically, that's what I'm saying. It's
And we can, yeah,
I just don't know the what's the parameter, what's the time frame, what's the,
Maybe we can ask Lynn, what can we do to if it's in the decision.
Peter, not Lynn.
I'm sorry. I meant Amy, actually. I didn't know Lynn. I meant Amy. Council, what do we do with this? If we voted it, it's in the decision. Can we modify it? We just do a modification to the decision?
Yeah, I should have asked her that. I thought it would be appropriate to come back to you all.
Well, it's fine, but we can ask now, right? That's all
it's a
I'm
good
saying.
discussion point,
No.
just,
Yeah, it's good though.
You're asking because it's in there, that's good, but of course.
I'm with you on that. I like giving local preference a little bit. They're gonna be the most impacted
Mhm.
with what we decide.
Okay.
So I think I like local preference.
because there are people renting in houses in town that can't necessarily afford it and want to stay in town because the
Right.
kids are in town, the kids' friends, whatever, so.
Right.
But I agree, why are we tying the hands of the developer, right, who needs to rent this all out? So I think, in my opinion, it should be less percentage and like a 6-month time frame for the application process, whatever, and then let the developer go.
Right.
But
If you can't
I
give
do
more,
believe in
So
local
can we
preference.
write that, can we add that? 'Cause Paul sent us like 6 different forms that we can use, so that's what I don't understand. How do we go about doing this now?
Yeah, exactly.
So it sounds like we gotta ask Judy that,
I don't know.
carry this forward.
I don't know
how
if
we
I'd
do
ask
it.
Judy, I'd ask Amy first.
Yeah,
Okay, fine.
I think we would need to go to,
Maybe we
Why-
should just ask
why-
Amy to camp out for our next meeting.
Why are we saying it's tying the builder's hands though? Because if they don't get somebody from local applies,
yeah, they're not.
they're just gonna go somewhere else. Somebody will just fill in whoever shows up.
Well, that's what I don't know
From
how.
Danvers.
But who controls,
Right.
who controls that?
How does it work?
Well, it'd be the leasing office.
Yeah, but you give a preference to a local person.
There are companies, though,
If
Paul
you don't get a
sent
local
us.
person, then you go to whoever else can.
Yeah, but
But-
how long do you wait?
How long
do
You gotta have a time frame to
Like,
wait.
how long do you say local
Exactly.
preferences? Oh, we waited 2 days, no one showed up, so we rented them all.
Yeah, now we rented all of them to.
But there-
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying, I mean, at
yeah,
what point do you draw the line?
This is all governed by regulations. Look at the stuff Paul sent.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it.
It's dizzying. I mean, I didn't read through it.
I know,
just-
that's why I was like.
I know
we'll
there are
talk about it
rules
at
on
the
all of
meeting.
this, though, so I don't know how to carry it forward. We have to come up with, if we have a local preference, we have to implement it now.
It's just a matter of what can we control in the parameters.
That's right.
You know?
Right.
And Judy's saying, just
I
drop
mean, I
it.
agree with that. I perused that quickly, and I agree with it. I understand the concept
Sure.
behind it. If you have a predominantly
Yeah,
white area,
Well,
or a
Newton
non,
is not Norton.
right?
just
Well, but
homogeneous, yeah, I mean, we're all,
I mean, I get that what they're saying there, but
Yeah. If we have to move forward with it, I mean, it is what it
it is
is.
what it is.
but it's work for you, obviously.
Well, but that's fine, that's what's in the conditions, so we would make it work. But Judy pointed out something that she didn't mention it when we were talking about 253. She just said it was a requirement to do so. This is very different because this talks about some unintended consequences.
What, our decision?
local preference.
Yeah.
Local preference, not giving the opportunity to possibly minorities outside of town, because
Right.
Or
Norton's
just-
predominantly
Even
less
if-
minorities.
If it's not even just for minorities, I mean, are we that insular a place that we can keep open, to a town of 18,000 people? I mean, Mansfield's a mile away, Taunton is a mile and a half that way.
Right.
Is it worthwhile doing in a small town? I don't know.
I think it is,
Okay.
because you don't have 7 of these projects in town.
Oh, okay. It's in our decision, so it's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
So we gotta
I'll
figure out
run it through
what to
her.
do about it anyway, so.
What, yeah.
To me, it's like if there's 18 units that fall under this category, let's reserve 6 for 6 months, and then, I'm just saying, what I would like to see is that if we can
Okay.
control that, then great.
This would be a good marketing tool for hiring people with the town. You're not gonna make much, but this will qualify you for a 40B.
Exactly.
There you go.
Can they do that, or do they have to have lived here for 30
Pretty
years?
dangerous watch, Paul.
Oh, very dangerous,
Yeah.
but,
The Indeed listing just changed real quick.
Let's get Peter, let's get the developer to give the units away to town employees.
But the good news is they are moving forward with it.
Yeah,
So,
good.
we just have to do our part
Okay.
with it.
So we'll ask some more questions. So I think we better ask Amy to attend,
I like that development. That's a nice
because Amy's involved in all of this.
Oh, I think both
It's like
developments are
Judy,
great for
oh,
the town.
Judy
We need it.
responded to something else. I asked her a question completely different, but did I tell you we're moving our office to Hingham Friday morning? It's been nuts here. So anyway, that was something else. Anyway,
I'm gonna,
I'll follow up with Amy.
see if Amy can attend.
Do we have anything big coming up for the next meeting that we're not aware of, or?
No,
Okay, good.
no, so you got a lot of repeats from tonight. I'll
Close the
work on the
doors.
decision.
Close the doors.
I'll
So no
get that
new
decision.
We're gonna
applications.
have some extensive conversation about some of these
Yeah.
items on the agenda moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would assume, right?
Oh, yeah, these
Yeah, we got a
are,
lot of research to do for the next meeting.
these are a little complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, it would be great if we, it would be great if we could get a couple more meetings,
Yeah,
a
sure.
couple more meeting dates set.
Did we do
I'll
a
just do the rest
decision
of the
tonight?
year, to be honest with you.
We did,
We
we
just-
did the decision for, tipping.
Yep, tipping, that's right. Well, that should be. Yeah, that's okay, that's easy.
Want to do October, November, December, Tom, and just have the year
Yeah,
done?
sure.
Yep. Looking at October 13th.
Sounds good.
All right, October, let's see.
October 13 is fine.
Could we do November 10th, and then we'll wait the following weeks?
That's 4 weeks anyway, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so, October 13th, November
10?
10.
And then maybe December 8th, right after Thanksgiving, but
Yeah, early in
Yeah,
December.
early
is-
Yeah.
December is nice.
Yeah,
Just in case,
oh, yeah,
December 8th.
yeah, December 8th. 4 weeks apart for each one, so
Yep,
close the doors, don't let any other applications in.
we're closed.
December 8th, December, we'll get those out.
4 weeks, huh?
I have a question about it before.
Okay, so those are,
Okay,
we
so,
need to do an election, right? I put that on.
Yes, we do.
Oh,
We have to elect him.
wait a minute. The bylaws say that we're supposed to elect officers on an annual basis. So I had Paul put on the agenda, so I would like any volunteers to volunteer for positions. We only have, I think, one position, that's chair. We could have other offices. We could have Minister of Propaganda. We could have Secretary for Party Planning. Are there any, what's the discussion? Are there any volunteers? Does anybody want to be chair?
Absolutely not.
I'm just gonna cut to the chase. I'm gonna cut
Make
to
a
the chase.
motion?
I'll make a motion to keep Tom Noel as VBA chair.
I'll second that.
Motion carries.
I'm glad you had a choice, Tom.
Yeah, I know.
Put a mask on tonight.
Yeah,
That's
right?
why I have, I have black, I have a dark mask too. And I have a blindfold. Why don't you take me up back and shoot? But,
You're just so good at your job.
no, seriously, anybody,
No.
David has had leadership roles in the town and,
I learned how, I'd never do it again.
okay, so that's fine.
Fine, I'll take it.
We get another election coming up soon, so the midterms,
I couldn't imagine.
We
We have a motion.
I'd
and a
like to
second.
I'd like to get a motion a second. Okay, is there any, no further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Tom, I gotta tell you, when I go home at night, I say to my wife, I do these meetings, I'm
I
like,
don't
I'm the
know.
one retired.
Exactly, we're
I'm like,
done.
I don't know how this board will operate.
No.
I honestly don't know how it operates.
I voted yes.
So you got a raise this
All
year?
right. You did.
Yep.
Okay.
Just we don't have to record that.
3% increase.
We have to
3%
record the
increase.
vote for the chair? Absolutely.
We need another member,
Yes.
because I do want to get, somebody else interested in coming on and learning our evil ways, and, it takes time, so.
I just can't guarantee I'd be here every day, or else I might consider it. I just can't, unfortunately, it's the way it is.
I talked about another member for us.
Oh, another member on.
Yeah,
The vacancy. yeah.
because we have
That's
a,
the only thing
Alan's
holding you back from
position.
being chair.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
You must feel guilty, too.
No, I feel bad, just kind of throwing
you
there, but
already spoke up there. No, we should have a fifth member.
Yeah.
Because, to get new blood. I mean, we all are getting, we know what we're doing, but, we need to get some more interest from other people in town, and, but, we're still trying to get a clerk, an assistant Paul, so.
I thought you had, did I say in an email that someone was gonna start?
No,
No? Oh, okay.
just in my dreams. Don't get me going. It's been one
Any
frustrating.
luck?
Bad.
No.
If it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any at all,
'Cause
as the song goes.
I saw the select board agenda, it looked like they were reporting a few random
I thought
instances.
that's what I saw.
So other.
Yeah, but it,
Wait, is that position open conservation, or was that filled?
that's been filled.
Oh, it has?
Yeah, because they weren't
Not
gonna
the
have anyone
commissioner.
there, so
The director's
that
position's open still?
person went there
Okay
instead
with that.
because they needed a warm body
can I get
there.
it?
Oh, Mr.
I'd love to
Iafredi,
get it.
Mr. Iafredi can be tasked with additional jobs, I think.
He doesn't have much going on.
We can have,
Conservation commissioner?
No, thank you.
Oh, you don't wanna be the conservation director?
Nick, thanks again for the input. There's more input, I think, on a couple of these too from your notes. I got to look at the notes a little bit, but I didn't dive into them
Yeah, like I said, they were sent late, so.
because there's some other information on some of these lots that is pertinent and a little maybe troubling. And that's part of what Amy is interested in.
They did what they want back in the day?
Too. Yeah, something like that.
Exactly.
So there's no other meeting, there's no other items to come before us tonight. Paul, it's good to have you back. Sorry about your loss. We all
I
expressed
appreciate
that
it.
last meeting and hope you're doing okay.
Yep, doing fine.
Thank you all for coming and helping, and let's adjourn at whatever time it is, 9:06. All those in favor?
Aye.